Dear students, today's topic for discussion is SAARC versus European Union, a comparative analysis. The main objective of this lecture is to comparatively analyze the two regional arrangements, SAARC and European Union, and to understand why regional integration has proven successful in Europe and why not in South Asia. Regionalism, or broadly regional cooperation, has been in vogue since the end of Second World War as a mechanism for maintaining regional order. Though regional initiatives may not have produced uniform results across the world, but they have been fairly popular as a forum for engagement and interaction between proximate states belonging to a region. They are seen as key drivers of democratic transformation and economic prosperity. Regional cooperation schemes have also found endorsement because of their potential to ease frictions between neighbors. Consequently, regional associations are fast becoming an important and effective scene for political and economic interaction in the world. This positive aspect of regional cooperation has been censored by many states who at various times have initiated or supported regional projects. European Union and SAARC are two such regional arrangements. When one looks at these two regional arrangements, there are stark differences between them in terms of origin, method of functioning, organizational structure, and overall operational practices. And in this lecture, we will try to understand the differences between them by using different parameters. First of all, we will have a look at the brief comparative history of the two organizations. The European Union is a political and economic partnership that represents a unique form of cooperation among 27 sovereign states. It is the latest stage in the process of European integration. European integration was a movement which started after Second World War, anxious to secure long-term peace and stability. Its founders hoped that by pooling sovereignty in certain sectors, integration would foster interdependence and make another war in Europe unthinkable. In other words, leaders thought that if the economies of the European nations were linked, there would be fewer chances that they would go to war. So, it was with this thinking that in 1952 the European Coal and Steel Community was established, which was declared to be a first step in the European integration project. In the light of its success, in 1957, the 6 European Coal and Steel Community countries signed 2 new treaties in Rome. One treaty established the European Economic Community to develop common economic policies and merge the separate national markets into a single market in which goods, people, capital and services could move freely. The other created a European Atomic Energy Community to ensure the use of nuclear energy for peaceful purposes. These two treaties, commonly referred to as the Treaties of Rome, came into force in 1958. In 1967, the European Coal and Steel Community, the European Economic Community and European Atomic Energy Community collectively became the European Community. In 1993, the Treaty on European Union, also known as Maastricht Treaty, came into effect, encompassing the European Community and establishing the modern day European Union. The European Union was intended as a significant step on the path towards not only greater economic integration but also closer political cooperation. The Maastricht Treaty contained provisions that resulted in the creation of Eurozone, in which participants share a common currency, a common central bank and a common monetary policy. The main reasons which contributed to the economic and political integration in Europe are: number one, desire for a new identity as an alternative to narrow nationalism that led to two world wars. The identity that leaders envisaged was that of a larger, stronger Europe and the identity of every citizen to be European. Number second, the re-emergence of Germany after Second World War was a common fear that all the European countries shared. So, a need was felt to contain Germany through European integration. Number third, after World War II, Europe was devastated economically and politically. The leaders of various European countries decided to rebuild themselves, and they sought the channel of European integration in the hope of economic prosperity and recovery. Free trade agreements, freedom of labor, freedom of establishment within the member states was a result of this common and shared state of affairs. Number four, the United States saw a union between the European states as a means of countering a perceived communist threat from the Eastern Bloc countries and consequently provided financial aid under the Marshall Plan. Although the United States had a vested interest in the European integration, but it has to be noted that European integration was built primarily by the efforts of various European leaders to build a more stable and peaceful future for Europe and its citizens. When compared with European Union, SAARC is a much younger organization than the European Union, whose creation and agenda were partly inspired by the former, and it operates in a very different context. The idea of regional cooperation in South Asia was first initiated by the then President of Bangladesh, Ziaur Rahman, who visited different countries of the region between 1977 and 1978 to explore the possibilities of regional economic cooperation among the countries of the region. He proposed for the collective self-reliance in a common quest for peace and development of the countries of the region. In this endeavor, he sent formal letters to the South Asian leaders urging serious thought for the creation of a regional cooperation body. Although the proposal did not evoke much enthusiasm in the beginning, but following the change in the leaderships in the countries, the proposal caught the attention of the people in power. It was a time when political leadership in South Asia was passing into the hands of a new set of leaders. In India, Indira Gandhi's Congress party was replaced by the Janata Party led by Morarji Desai. In Pakistan, Zulfikar Ali Bhutto was replaced by military ruler Ziaul Haq, and in Sri Lanka, Sirimao Bandaranaike was replaced by Junius Jayawardene. In Bangladesh, Ziaur Rahman had consolidated his position and there was no immediate threat from pro-Mujib forces. All these leaders had a pro-US image and unlike their predecessors were keen to build regional relations on new premises. Also, the idea of regional cooperation in South Asia was floated at a time when number of developments were taking place at the regional and global level as well. It was a time when North-South dialogue had practically failed and the slogan of economic cooperation among developing countries under South-South cooperation had started gaining ground. The global recession was increasingly crippling the world economy. Hardest hit was the oil importing developing world to which South Asia belonged. By mid 1970s, real growth rates had touched a low of almost 2%. The second oil shock of 1979-1980 worsened the situation further. In 1980, the balance of trade record of all South Asian countries remained very critical. Against this backdrop, the advisability of regional cooperation in particular and South-South cooperation in general took high priority on the developmental agenda, and the creation of SAARC was only a matter of time. In December 1985, the heads of 7 states of South Asia at their first SAARC summit formally established SAARC. The main purpose behind the creation of SAARC was to promote the welfare of the people of South Asia, to strengthen collective self-reliance, to promote active collaboration and mutual assistance in various fields, and to cooperate with international and regional organizations. Let us now try to understand the organizational structure of SAARC and European Union. The organizational structure of two organizations and their way of functioning also varies considerably. The main institutions of European Union include European Parliament. European Parliament is directly elected parliamentary institution of the European Union. Together with the Council and the European Commission, it performs the legislative function of the European Union. The members of the European Parliament are directly elected by citizens of member states of the European Union through universal adult suffrage. This institution is the place where all European laws are made. The European Commission. The European Commission consists of 27 members as proposed by the member states, one from each state. These members are expected to work on behalf and for the greater benefit of the Europe as a whole and not as representatives of their home states. President of the European Commission is proposed by the European Council and elected by the European Parliament. The Council of Ministers. It consists of the foreign ministers of various member states. This form is the place where national interests are discussed to create an amicable community legislation for Europe as a whole. The European Council. The European Council brings together the heads of the states or governments of every European Union country and decides on the political direction of the European Union. The European Court of Justice. It is the adjudication body for disputes between the member states and more importantly the final interpreter of European Union law. On the other hand, the organizational structure of SAARC is different from European Union. Its main institutions include: number first, Council. It is the apex policy making body. The Council is represented by government heads of the respective member countries. Number second, Council of Ministers. The Council of Ministers comprises the foreign ministers and they meet generally 2 times in a year. Its main functions include policy formulation, reviewing the progress of regional cooperation, identifying newer areas of cooperation. Number third, Standing Committee. It comprises the foreign secretaries of the member countries. It coordinates and monitors the programs, deals with the financing and mobilizes cooperation within and outside region. Number fourth, Programming Committee. It comprises senior officials of the member states. The major functions of this committee are finalizing the annual meet schedule, budget scrutinization and external activities assigned by the Standing Committee. Number fifth, Technical Committee. It consists of representatives of the member states. The major functions of the committee are to formulate projects and their monitoring and to submit reports. Number sixth, Secretariat. It is headed by the Secretary General appointed by the Council of Ministers. The Secretariat coordinates and executes activities conducted by SAARC. It also monitors the SAARC meetings and works as a communication link between SAARC and other international summits and forums. Apart from history and organizational structure, the motivations for regional integration in Western Europe and South Asia are different. Political motives behind European integration was the result of the quest for an alternative for the discarded nationalist identities and ideologies, which led to huge losses in the Second World War and the overwhelming desire to avoid conflict in future. The cornerstone of European community was the political resolve to settle differences between two arch enemies, France and Germany. European integration was also driven by the need to accelerate post-war economic recovery by the creation of a large common market and expectations that an integrated Europe would lead to a new shared power in world politics and facilitate political interdependence in a world dominated by the superpowers. Moreover, economic and military integration in Western Europe was considerably facilitated by an external power, the United States. But none of these internal or external factors were prime movers of regional cooperation in South Asia. The divergence in security perceptions of SAARC member states greatly handicapped regional integration. South Asian regionalism was neither superpower sponsored nor born to deal with an external threat. Political security concerns were entirely absent from the concerns of South Asian elites in the formation of SAARC, which arose from a purely economic rationale. Fourth, Western Europe is characterized by the dispersal of strength in Europe. In the European Union, despite variations in size and population of member states, there is no one member which looms as large as India or is the only unifying or dividing factor. The European Union has at least 3 states, France, Germany and Italy, of a relatively similar population and similar economic strength. No one member state has the ability to dominate the region. South Asia, on the other hand, is characterized by the overwhelming predominance of India in terms of size, population, resources, potential of economic growth and military strength, and a number of smaller states with no common border between them, while India borders or is adjacent to 5 SAARC member states. This basic asymmetry colors the perceptions of India's neighbors who have sought to counterbalance Indian influence by seeking the involvement and support of external powers in the region. Fifth, unlike Western Europe, there is a lack of economic complementarity in South Asia. Thus, despite a common civilization heritage, shared history and potentially integrative ecosystems, member states of SAARC have been unable to meaningfully and effectively cooperate in fostering greater economic development in trade, industry and investment. South Asian economies are competitive rather than complementary and dependent to a large extent on the same product categories. Unlike European Union, where intra-regional trade accounts for over 65%, intra-regional trade in South Asia is about 5% of its global trade, and intra-SAARC investment is only 1% of its total investment. Sixth, European Union is based on the concept of pooling of sovereignty. In practice, it means that member states delegate some of their decision-making powers to shared institutions they have created, so that decisions on specific matters of joint interest can be made democratically at the European level. While the members of European Union have readily agreed to transfer parts of their national sovereignty in order to achieve the broader regional objectives, the members of SAARC have been reluctant to compromise with their hard-won sovereignty. Writing in the context of European Union, Jackson has rightly argued that the membership of regional organizations is nothing but an exercise in voluntary loss of sovereignty. However, in the context of SAARC, such a voluntary loss of sovereignty was not readily acceptable to the member states because of the dominant economic position of India in the region and the probability of leaders agreeing to pooling off the sovereignty in near future also remains bleak. Seventh, European Union has the largest free trade zone in the world. The European Union's single market has more than 50 crore people in it, and it has an economy that is 10 times the size of India's economy. There is free movement of goods, capital and services. The citizens in the European Union have freedom of movement, freedom of trade and freedom of establishment. These facilities provide sharing of labor and resources amongst the member states for mutual development. French wine can be sold in Italy, German cars in Spain. The citizens of Poland can move to Copenhagen freely and set up home and family there. This is a unique arrangement which has no parallel anywhere else on the planet. However, the story of South Asia is somewhat different. Due to political hindrances such as nationalist and protectionist trends and interstate conflicts, SAARC has not been able to implement its mandate to create a free trade area in South Asia. South Asia has been labeled as one of the least integrated regions of the world. Intra-regional trade within the SAARC region is lower than the intra-regional trade within any other region in the world, representing less than 5% of total trade. It is also evident that the full implementation of European Union's economic model from a common market to monetary and economic union with a single currency appears a distant reality for the SAARC in the context of its contemporary geopolitical challenges. Eighth, all the institutions of European Union does not follow unanimity principle in decision making. There is a growing acceptance in the European Union of the view that adherence to unanimity principle would often result in a stalemate. So, the notion of qualified majority voting has been accepted in case of some institutions. On the other hand, the SAARC Charter has clearly stipulated that all decisions will be taken on the basis of unanimity and that all bilateral and contentious issues will be excluded from discussions. Lastly, unlike SAARC, European Union contains a provision for common foreign and security policy. The idea behind the European Union's common foreign and security policy is as simple as it is convincing. Only together can the member states of the European Union make their weight felt internationally. The European Union's common foreign and security policy enables it to act and express its position on the international stage. The objectives of the common foreign and security policy as set out in Article 21 of the Treaty of the European Union are to maintain peace and strengthen international security, to promote international cooperation with third countries, and to advance and consolidate democracy and the rule of law and respect for human rights and fundamental freedoms. To this end, the European Union maintains partnerships and political dialogues based on mutual interests and benefits with the main international players and regularly holds summits with those countries with which the European Union has a strategic partnership. On the other hand, on several key issues, the member states of SAARC have diametrically opposite foreign and security policies. Two of the SAARC members, India and Pakistan, are nuclear states with perceptions of threats from each other. However, on several issues relating to social development and international economic cooperation, SAARC countries have common interests and have not hesitated to articulate these, often through joint communiques of ministerial meetings held on subjects such as environment, labor matters, WTO related matters, social development, etc. The representatives of SAARC countries meet at times in different places to coordinate their positions and to adopt common stands, if possible, on some matters of common interest and concerns. While concluding this lecture, we can say that there are glaring differences between two regional organizations. The objectives and process of regionalism in two regions differ considerably, including historically, conceptually, structurally, and culturally. European model of integration is a unique model, and no other region could probably hope to reach the level it has attained in the foreseeable future. Its formation and success was due to common conditions shared by all the European countries, which is not the case with SAARC. So, SAARC cannot act and behave like European Union, but SAARC can draw some lessons from European Union to achieve the basic premises of regional integration. Dear students, with this I am signing off today's lecture. Hope you have understood it well. Thanks for watching it.